Max Reynolds is a successful man, a millionaire who owns a car dealership empire called Autotech Elite Motors. He built the business from scratch, overcoming countless challenges and hardships. However, today, Max is not the powerful owner that everyone knows. He has decided to visit his dealership disguised as an ordinary customer, hoping to go unnoticed. His goal is to assess the service customers receive there. Early in the morning, the fresh air revitalizes Max. He adjusts his old cap and looks into the reflection of his worn-out sedan. Dressed in faded jeans, a hoodie, and scuffed sneakers, Max looks just like an average customer. This is exactly what he wants. He doesn't want anyone to recognize him as the boss, he simply wants to be Max, a consumer looking for a family car. As Max steps into the dealership, the atmosphere inside is completely different. Employees are bustling about, laughter and chatter echoing everywhere. But as soon as he enters, everything seems to pause for a moment. A young receptionist behind the counter eyes Max suspiciously. "Hello, how can I help you?" she asks, her tone lacking enthusiasm. "Yes, I'm looking for a mid-range car, possibly a used one," Max replies casually. The receptionist raises an eyebrow, clearly showing disdain. "A used car?" she repeats, her tone somewhat mocking. "Let me see if anyone is free to help you." She turns away, not bothering to look at Max again. After a while, Carl, a neatly dressed salesman, approaches with a cup of coffee in hand. Max notices Carl's gaze sweeping from head to toe, filled with contempt. "Hey there, looks like you have plenty of options," Carl says, his tone dripping with sarcasm. Max feels a wave of anger rising within him. He came here intending to find a car, but instead, he is treated like a ghost. Carl leads Max to the section displaying older, less impressive cars. "This one is a decent choice," Carl says, pointing to a vehicle with a few dents on the fender. "Cheap, gets the job done." Max frowns, he doesn't want a car that is merely adequate. "I want a car with a warranty, maybe one with fewer miles," Max states, trying to keep his tone calm. Carl scoffs, "With your budget, I guess you'll need to adjust your expectations." Max feels his fingers clenching. He can't believe what he's hearing. This isn't just poor customer service, it's blatant disrespect. Wandering through the showroom, Max notices other employees avoiding his gaze or quickly shifting their attention to more formally dressed customers. He overhears a conversation between Carl and another employee, where Carl mocks Max, saying he doesn't even have a credit score. Those taunts stab at Max's self-esteem like a knife. While searching for a quiet corner to escape the ridicule, Max happens upon Walter, a janitor taking care of the area nearby. Walter, dressed in his worn uniform, is diligently working on a car. Max senses the dedication and professionalism in every action of Walter's. "Hello, Walter," Max says, trying to strike up a friendly conversation. "You seem busy today." Walter smiles, "Always busy, but I like cleaning this place. A clean floor is important." During their chat, Max notices Walter has a service manual for a high-end sports car. "Do you like cars?" Max asks, pointing to the book. Walter hesitates a moment before nodding, "Yes, I used to be a mechanic. But life took me in a different direction." Max feels a sense of empathy for Walter. He decides to ask more about why Walter is no longer a mechanic. "Life happens," Walter replies, his voice growing somber. "My business went bankrupt, bills piled up. One has to do what's necessary to survive." Max senses the sadness in Walter's words. He begins to appreciate Walter, a man who has been overlooked. Walter continues sharing his knowledge about common issues with new cars. Max is astonished that none of the employees at the dealership have mentioned these problems, highlighting their ignorance. When Carl calls Walter back to work, Max feels a wave of determination swell within him. Walter is a valuable asset but is being undervalued at his workplace. Max resolves that tomorrow will be different. He won't just come to buy a car, he will change how people think about Walter and create a more respectful working environment for all employees. The next morning, Max drives his sleek black sports car to the dealership, dressed impeccably in a tailored suit. His confidence radiates, making it impossible for anyone to ignore him. As Max enters, the atmosphere in the showroom shifts immediately. Employees stop, and astonished, confused gazes turn towards him. The receptionist from the day before jumps up, nearly spilling her coffee. "Mr. Reynolds," she exclaims, her tone panicked. Max smiles, but his eyes are sharp. "Good morning, please gather the team in the showroom, I need to speak with everyone." The receptionist's face pales as she realizes who stands before her. When all the employees are assembled, Max feels his heart sink. He doesn't want to instill fear, but he cannot overlook the disrespect they displayed yesterday. "Thank you for welcoming me yesterday," Max begins, his voice calm yet strong. "However, what I witnessed yesterday was disappointing." Carl stands at the front, trying to maintain a confident demeanor, but his eyes betray his anxiety. "I don't remember seeing you here," Carl says, attempting to keep his cool. Max's smile tightens. "Because I wasn't dressed like this yesterday. I was just an ordinary customer, looking for a car and observing how everyone works." The realization hits the staff like a lightning bolt. Max turns his attention to Walter, who is standing behind, broom in hand. "Walter, come up here." Walter hesitates but eventually steps forward, his expression still humble. "This man," Max says, pointing at Walter, "has shown more knowledge, kindness, and professionalism in one day than all of you have demonstrated over the years." Walter is taken aback, unsure of what to say. Max continues, "I've learned about you, Walter. You were a mechanic, right? You identified an issue with the X4 SUV that even the trained staff didn't notice." Walter looks at Max with emotional eyes. Max turns back to Carl, his gaze becoming icy. "And you, Carl? Yesterday, you insulted a customer just because he inquired about financing. You mocked me, and when Walter tried to help, you publicly humiliated him." Carl stammers, "I didn't know it was you. I was just—" "That's the problem," Max interrupts, his tone cold. "You thought that because I didn't look wealthy, I didn't deserve your respect. How many other customers have you treated like this?" Carl remains silent, unable to respond. Max continues, "Now, I not only want to change how people perceive Walter, but I also want to transform the culture at this dealership. Walter, from today, you are no longer a janitor. You will become the lead consultant for used cars." The room erupts in murmurs. Walter stands frozen, unable to believe what he just heard. "Thank you, but I don't know what to say," Walter says, his voice choked. "Just say you accept," Max replies, smiling. Walter nods, "I accept." Max continues, "And for the rest of you, things will change immediately. We will implement a new training program focusing on empathy, inclusivity, and product knowledge. Those who do not meet the new standards will have to leave." Carl's face turns pale, unable to believe his ears. "Okay, I've helped you get sales, I'm one of the top salespeople." Carl protests. "Being a good salesperson does not excuse bad behavior," Max replies, his voice steely. "I've hired mystery shoppers to evaluate each of you over the next few weeks. Your actions will determine your future here." The room falls silent, a heavy atmosphere enveloping them. The next day, Walter enters the dealership, feeling nervous yet determined. He has prepared for his first day as the lead consultant. Wearing the shirt and tie that Max arranged for him, Walter feels more confident. He is ready to prove his abilities. Walter's first customer is a middle-aged man named Greg, who is looking for a suitable family car. Walter approaches Greg with a friendly smile, helping him feel more at ease. "Hello, how can I help you?" Walter asks. Greg nods. I need a spacious, reliable car that isn't too expensive. Walter has the perfect used SUV prepared for Greg's needs. As they discuss the car's features, Greg gradually feels comfortable and satisfied with Walter's assistance. However, while Walter is working, Carl appears with a sarcastic smile. Walter, are you sure? Customers can sense inexperience from a distance. Greg feels uncomfortable. Walter remains unshaken. I'm just trying to help, he replies calmly. Max, watching from a distance, can't take it anymore. Carl, he calls, I need you in my office right now. In the office, Carl tries to maintain his composure.